We're of course excited about playing in the Alamo Bowl. Talked about that a lot. Watching a ton of film on Oklahoma State. They're very talented in a lot of areas. And I'll start first on offense. Their quarterback, Mason Rudolph, he's big, he's athletic, he can make all the throws. They've got explosive wide receivers. And I am very impressed with James Washington and Jalen McCleskey. They make play after play for them. They have big wide receivers at the other spot that can go up and make plays. Seals and Lacey. Lacey's played a lot more lately and has made a lot of big plays, a big receiver. And then their tailbacks are good, and especially the freshman. He has over 1,000 yards rushing. And Justin Hill, really quick, really fast. And their offensive line's huge. So they're excellent on offense. Defensively, they're playing well there too. They've caused a ton of turnovers. They kind of feast on that. They do an excellent job of it. Their safeties are aggressive and come down hard in the run. Been very impressed with how physical they are on defense and what they do. And then I think they're number 8 or 9 in the country in turnover margin. So they've done an excellent job on their not having. I think the quarterback's only thrown 4 or 5 picks at the most. As many times as they throw, that's pretty impressive. They've made a lot of plays. So they're an excellent football team. That's why they're 12th in the country, and it's going to be an extremely tough contest for us. And I think Mike Gundy's gone. I think this is his 9th bowl in a row, if I'm not mistaken. And they're used to going to bowls. It's our guys' first time. So we got to make sure we handle that correctly as going into the bowl game. And practice has gone well for us. And so I'll take any questions from here.
Mike, does Oklahoma State remind you of anybody that you've played?
Remind us of anybody we played. Offensively, they're a kind of a spread team. They use a tight end quite a bit back there, though. I would say a little bit similar to. They're a mixture of Washington State and Oregon to me, a little bit in that way. But they use their tight ends quite a bit, and they're very good. 47 and 86. They're excellent tight ends. So that's where they're a little bit different. They add that in their package, a little bit more run-oriented, a little bit more physical. Most of the time they're in the backfield, though. Kind of some unique looks that way.
Does Mason Rudolph remind you of any quarterbacks you guys have faced during your time here?
Mason Rudolph's very good. He's really good. He's able to run and throw it. And he's big. I would say a little bit like Darnell at USC. Can run, throw it, make some plays that way. I'm a little bit bigger than him, but he's similar to him to me.
Mike, you mentioned this obviously being the first time any of these guys have played in a bowl game. Have you noticed that sort of, an excitement or anticipation for that kind of opportunity, carrying guys through some of these early practices? Because these bowl periods oftentimes are about getting up, staying focused, all those kind of things. Are you noticing that aspect of it helping these guys really stay crisp and motivated?
Yeah, they're excited about playing in the bowl game. They've been excited at practice. They've done really well. Haven't had to get them going or anything like that. So they've been into it. So I have noticed an excitement about that. Yes.
Coach, it is an abnormal week, the actual bowl week, and you've mentioned that they've got that experience. How big a deal is that in terms of being ready for the game? And do you think that Pac-12 championship game experience, which was also a bit of an abnormal game, helps at all in terms of preparing for something like this?
Yeah, I think it does help some in preparing for it. There's no doubt. This situation, we'll get there. There'll be a lot of festivities when you get there. And so, you have to be prepared player-wise, coaching-wise, game plan-wise before you get on the airplane on the 24th of December. You have to have everything in, ready to go, already rehearsed it a lot. So when you get there, they're doing different activities or doing that type of thing. It's going to be, when they get to practice, they got to be really focused in. But for you to try to think you're going to put in a whole bunch of new stuff as a coach at that time, that'd be a huge mistake. What we have put in by the time we fly out of here Saturday afternoon, that will be what we'll have in. We'll just keep rehearsing it. There's no way you can try to put new stuff in with all the different things going on for the kids. And you wouldn't want to do that either. You're going to make sure they're focused on what they know.
Hey, Mike. Kyle Fredrickson with the Oklahoman.
Yeah.
Mike Gundy said recently that he's reminded of OSU's program when he thinks about how your team has grown in 4 years, being that your guys are kind of rolled up, you're very senior laden. When you look at OSU's program, what stands out in your mind with the job that Mike Gundy has done, now in 12 years there?
I think Mike's done a phenomenal job. I think a consistency. I think every year he's won 9 to 10 games. He's been in bowl after bowl. To me, Oklahoma State is a top 25 team year in, year out, the way I look at them. And I think they definitely have proved that. They've got good players. They're putting guys in the NFL every year. They're a top 25 football team, and this year I think they're definitely, to me, a top 10 team. You take away a crazy play at the beginning of the year, they're ranked in the top 10. And so I think that we're both top 10 football teams playing, and it's going to be a heck of a football game.
Coach, you and especially your older players have come a long way to get to this point. Going into this, how are you balancing the idea of making sure everyone kind of enjoys this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with the idea that you're going down there to win a football game?
You definitely want them to enjoy the experience, and they will. And they'll enjoy it. I think the whole idea of it, though, is to go win the football game. And when you're done, when they walk off the field for the last time, those seniors, I'd like for them to walk off with a W, just like Mike wants his guys to walk off with a W. So they need to understand that, and they do understand that. So I think that they'll be really focused on that part of it and excited about playing in the game.
Coach, I imagine, coaching a big college football team, you're never really relaxed. But if you have 20-plus days to prepare for a team, does that make it easier on you compared to just 1 week?
Great question. It makes it a little bit easier, and then it makes it a little bit harder. And what I mean by that, you can't do too much. You're able to watch so much more film. You're able to do more things. And then also at the same time, you don't want to get stale in practice by practicing a long time and putting things in that you haven't really executed at a full speed and a full game speed. You full speed it in practice, but it's a little different. And so it's not like you're preparing for a spring game where it doesn't matter. You're preparing for a big game. So everybody will tweak a little things, both sides, both teams, but you can't overload it, or then all of a sudden you're busting stuff and you're not thinking and you're not playing fast.
Mike, I heard an interview with Mike Leach last week where he said the key to preparing for a bowl.
With Mike Leach?
Yeah.
He didn't talk about Pirates? And
No, he might have.
Okay, all right.
I couldn't listen to the whole
Okay.
thing. But they were asking him what's the key to bowl week because it's such a different animal preparing for a bowl as opposed to just a regular season game. And he said it was limiting distractions. What do you think is the motivating factor for your team heading into this bowl that's going to allow them to limit distractions and stay focused? Is it getting 11 wins? Is it just winning one more time for the seniors? What do you think is the main source of motivation for your team heading into this game?
I think just the opportunity to play in the bowl game and then know that, you're going to play on national television again. It's a way to kind of cap off the season where we still have a bad taste in our mouth from the Pac-12 championship game. I think that motivates our guys. Also, watching Oklahoma State on film motivates you because they know they're good, and you're going to have to play really well to beat them. So I think that the combination of all of that, there's a little bit and pieces of all of it that I think will motivate our guys to do it, and I think is motivating them.
Mike, you talked about Glenn Spencer having been your roommate in college.
Well, no, he wasn't a roommate, but I mean, no, I've known him since college. Yes,
Yes,
yeah.
Is it sort of a small world type of feeling that you're, a guy that you knew since college, and you're playing on this kind of happening to meet on this sort of stage, and then just what have your interactions been like as you two have kind of gone throughout your careers?
Well, we've known each other for a long time, and our families went to FCA camp together in the mountains of Black Mountain a few times, and he had a tragic situation happen in his family where his wife passed away, and so we through all that, and then also he just we're former Yellow Jackets, so we talk with buddies all the time and do all that type of thing, but it's not like we've talk once a week or anything like that. The first time we talked in a long time was on the press conference for the bowl game because Mike Gundy his plane got delayed or something, so we were talking back and forth there. It's the first time we've talked in a while. We talked in the summer a couple times, but Yeah, he's done a great job there. Glenn is a phenomenal man, and I know he loves working for Mike.
Mike, I know you addressed this a few days ago. Joe Tumpkin taking over the defense for this bowl game, but for those of us who don't come up here every day, what are your expectations out of Joe, and why was he the guy you gave the keys to the defense for in this game? Can you just talk about the decision to make Joe the D coordinator for this game?
Yeah, Joe's going to be calling the plays for this game. Joe's been a coordinator before, has great knowledge of the back end and the front end, which is what you want to have. So that he understands all that, and so he is a perfect fit to do that. So we're excited about that. And then Charles will be working with the secondary, and Jim will be working up front, and then Corey and Chidera, our graduate assistants, will be helping. And then I've been in there, at practice a little bit more because we're down a coach, and so that's how we worked it out and feel like it'll run smooth for the bowl game. The great thing is that we have really good players that really understand our scheme. And this is the 14th game we've played this year, so I think they're in pretty good shape as far as understanding everything and how we do it. And our staff, our defensive staff, always work close together, and we're in there watching everything together and doing all that. So it's I think it's an easy transition as far as that goes.
Any changes would be subtle then that maybe the naked eye wouldn't even notice?
Yeah, any changes would be subtle. Yes.
Mike, you're going up against a team where its roster is about 80% Texas guys.
Yes.
For your recruitment, where does Texas rank in sort of your priorities? I know recently you've got some talent out there.
Yes, we have definitely our one of our best players, Jimmy Gilbert, is from Texas, and I know he'll have a lot of family at the game, and so. But we have a lot of guys who are recruiting this year. In this recruiting class that's coming up that are from Texas. So we've been trying to hit Texas hard. We've kind of made some inroads, and I think we're having pretty good success in there this year. There's a lot of good players in that state. And I know that, for example, just Oklahoma State alone, they got like 5 or 6 starters, if I'm not mistaken, from the San Antonio area alone, which is unusual in a way that there's that many starters from that one area. Which is it's good, and they're really good players.
Coach, with these extra practices you're getting this season with the bowl game, in what ways are you using them with an eye toward next season, or younger guys getting more reps, anything like that?
Yes, we are. We're practicing with what I call the travel squad, the bulk of the guys that do most of the playing for a while. Then after we practice with them, we send them in, and we keep out what I call the non-travel, but some of them do travel. They just don't play quite as much, and we're having more practice after that. So it's been excellent as far as that's been able to go. It's been giving us some extra days of spring practice, some more preparation, get your hands on those guys, coaching them more, and which I think they really enjoy. And it's been good for our coaching staff, and it's been good for those guys.
Mike, when you look at this season that Kenneth Olugbodi has had, what are some of the biggest things that you think led to just the renaissance he had as a senior and what he left on the field this year?
Yeah, Kenneth's always played well. His freshman year, he played on all our special teams, did really well. His sophomore year, he started and had some excellent football games, and he's just kept getting better and better. And this year, he stayed healthy the entire year, okay, which the other years he kind of got nicked up a little bit from that. He's healthy in every game. He's extremely bright. He understands our defense to a T. Him and Rick and Addison in there, they communicate so well with each other. They truly, Kenneth Olugbodi, I'm just so proud of, but he truly represents to me a program builder. That's what he is. He is a program builder. He has stuck with it, and he's kept improving and kept believing and kept going. And he truly embellishes what Bill Parcells used to say all the time. I stole his thunder and have it all over our locker rooms and different places. Knowledge equals confidence equals playing fast. To me, that's Kenneth Olugbodi. He gets everything out of him he can, and he plays really well, and he knows what he's doing. He's had a great year, a great year. To say I'm surprised, no. I've always thought he's been a good player, and I always knew how hard he worked and what he would do if he could stay healthy the whole time. I thought he would be he had 19 tackles the other night in the game. That's a ton. But I thought he would have an excellent year, and I'm glad he has.
Mike, if I'm correct, this is your...
Are you correct?
You tell me. I believe this is your first time as a head coach actually going through bowl preparation
Yes.
for a bowl game.
Yeah.
So I guess where did your bowl prep manifesto come from? How long have you had it? Did you have to dust it off
No,
this week?
well, when we went to bowls when I was at Georgia, at Ole Miss. We went in the playoffs when I was at Dallas. All those types of things. When I left San Jose to come here, I had already planned out the whole bowl practice, everything we're doing. All that already went to the bowl media day there, and then we came here. They just they followed that mantra. So I went back and looked at what we did there. They were successful with it, kind of planned it out. The bowl games were a little bit different. I think the one there was like on the 26th or 27th or right before. Anyway, I planned out this similar type situation and then talked to some of my mentors that have been, David Cutcliffe, who's been to a lot of bowls, and different people like that I know, and talked to some people that went to the Alamo Bowl before, how it plays out, what it's like when you get there, how much time do you have. A couple of coaches in our league helped me out on that. So.
What do you think the biggest challenge for a coach is in preparing for a bowl?
The biggest challenge in preparing for a bowl is to make sure you have them ready but not worn out. So there's a fine line there. And then when you get there, how many activities are going on, understanding your pace of practice, what you need to do, how you need to do that on that side of it. Some bowls you're there for 3 days or 4 days. Some bowls you're there for 5. We're going to get in there on the 5th night. So kind of how that works.
Coach, this will be Cheeto's kind of final hurrah as a football player, but also as a student athlete.
Yes.
How proud does that make you, a kid that gets it done? So, and he's wrapping up his.
Yeah, he's finished. He's got his grades back the other day. He's done. He's graduated. To me, it's gone by like a blink, and it has to him too. There for a while, we've probably felt like it stood still. I could still see him at Oak Grove High School in the summer between his 9th and 10th grade on the San Jose State game field in a scrimmage we had like a team camps and running a fly sweep. It's just great to see how far he's come. As a man, he's got you said heard it before. His parents are phenomenal. He'll do really well in life. He'll do really well in the NFL too. But if that ends quickly, he'll do really well whatever he does for sure. But it's been an honor and a privilege to be able to coach him and be around him on a daily basis.
Coach, as a follow-up to that, will you kind of just talk about your thoughts about preparing for the final game with this senior class?
Yeah, it's always the fun thing about preparing for this final game with the senior class, it lasts longer. The other ones, it was final the last game. So you kind of rushing and you're going fast, and it was over, and here they go. But with this group of guys, I'm able to experience more of it and kind of get a little bit longer goodbye, a little bit longer time for them to kind of relish everything and notice what they've done. I think that's why they'll play really well when we play in the Alamo Bowl, because I think they really want to leave another mark. And with all they've been through, if they can leave here with a W in that and be one of tied for the best record in the history of the school, would be pretty special.
Mike, just curious, I suppose it's a good problem to have, but did you struggle at all figuring out the bowl week and balancing that with giving the guys a chance to see family around the holiday?
Yeah, they're here. They're going to go home on the 30th. The good thing about the way our schedule falls this year is we don't come back to school until after Martin Luther King holiday, so that gives them a lot more time. In the past, it's been a little bit before that, so I'm glad the calendar fell that way. So that gives them more time.
Coach, I know you guys have spent a lot of time getting everyone healthy, making sure they're all recovered. Have you tried to get guys back to the weights that they were earlier in the season with this extended amount of time?
We have been doing, conditioning and doing all that. They're pretty much going to play at what they're at. It's going to be hard to gain or lose. But most of them have stayed in pretty good shape on that. Really, really good shape. Drew Wilson's done a good job with how we work out and the type of running we do during the season, and the games, are keep them in great condition also. So I feel pretty good about. We haven't had anybody really gain any weight or anything like that in this time. So we weigh them in every day, and they know that. So we're able to keep track of that. So.
Mike, this is a matchup that Big 12, even Big 8 kind of traditionalists love, considering the history between these two programs. I'm wondering, have you had former players or people within the athletic department who've been around for a while sort of reminisce on the good old days and kind of the history between these two teams?
Yeah, there's a guy named David Platty. He's told me about a few different ones, and that's the first thing he said to me. This is the first matchup that we've had of the former Big 12, Big 8 teams, and so that's exciting. And then I hear people out, when they come by or we're out somewhere, saying something about, it's good to play a Big 12 opponent. And they'll talk about, remember this game, and the different running backs that the schools have had, and that type of thing. So you hear the reminiscings of it. Yes, you do.
Coach, in terms of recruiting, it seems like you and your staff have done a little bit better every year that you've been here. Finally getting to a bowl game and kind of having that feather in your cap, what kind of impact can that make for the program going forward and on the recruiting trail?
Right. Well, anytime you win football games and you're playing more and more on television and you're out in the media more and everything's going well, that always helps. The thing that I think that it definitely helps with, what I call is the undercurrent that you can't overcome in recruiting. And what I mean by that is, let's say Adam decides he wants to commit to us, and he's at so-and-so high school in Colorado. And when we weren't very good, because most of the kids when they were younger haven't seen Colorado be good, the high school kids. They've never seen us be good until now. And so he might commit, and he'd be walking down the hallway and say, "Hey, man, I heard you're going to Colorado." And 3 or 4 people, "Why do you want to go to Colorado? They're terrible." You can't overcome that. But now when they walk down the hallway, "Man, did you see that game? You ought to go to Colorado. That's where you ought to go." So his uncles, the aunts, all those people are helping that undercurrent, and that's what I've noticed more and more. I've noticed it when I go out somewhere to get dinner. More and more people are just excited about Colorado football, and you can't underestimate that in recruiting. You just can't. So when they go home for Christmas and their uncles and brothers and people come back around and say, "Man, you ought to go to Colorado. That's an awesome place to go now." Before it was, I don't know if you want to go there. And so that's the undercurrent to me that's changed, and that dramatically helps recruiting to me. Because we don't know about that. We can't put out something we can't see, combat something we can't see.
Is there any difference preparing to play inside in a dome?
Yes. When Oklahoma State's on offense, I've got them to turn the sprinklers on. And then when we're on offense, the sprinklers are going to come off. That's the only difference.
I don't know if this has happened already, if it'll happen closer to the game, but about the seniors, have you noticed them getting nostalgic at all about their time here at CU now that there's just one game left?
No, I haven't really noticed them getting nostalgic, but I do know they realize they're going to put the helmet on in that locker room for the last time together. And they're, we're going to practice together, and they're going to be flying on the last plane trips and all that stuff. Those guys have been together so long. They've made lifetime friendships, a lot of them, truly lifetime friendships. So they'll keep it going. They'll be excited about it. But I do know they want to go out the best way they can, and just like Oklahoma State wants to go out the best way they can. But these guys have been through a ton too. So.
Anything else to coach?
All right, thank you.